Holly, I'm not going to get into what that was, but keep an eye on your pet. If the pet's personality changes, energy level changes, that's when, and then you got to have a good vet. I had two, but I found a great one to save Holly's life. In a moment, something you might not know. Everything is expensive these days, you know that. The government is printing trillions of dollars and consumer prices higher than ever. If the government continues its printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall and lose its coveted role as the world reserve currency. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But there are a few things you can do right now. American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your money, your retirement, your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. Start with a short phone call, and they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your 401k or IRA. So please call or text them right now. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
The Vic Porcelli Show. The bee or not the bee?
According to a study, female frogs fake their deaths to avoid having sex.
But I don't think it was the bee. I'm going to say not the bee.
That's not the bee. That's actually true. Female frogs, just like human women, fake their own deaths just to avoid having sex.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 46 years ago today, millions of Americans flocked to see a movie described by the New York Times as the most important cultural event of the decade. The plot featured an Italian-American dancer and his gang in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Here is the story of Saturday Night Fever. On June 7th, 1976, New York Magazine published an article titled "The Tribal Rights of the New Saturday Night." The story claimed to be true, but it was actually a work of fiction. Well, the rights were soon sold to Paramount Pictures. 7 months later, Saturday Night Fever, starring 23-year-old John Travolta, hit the screen, and disco fever swept over the USA. With a $3 million budget, the film went on to make $250 million. For the next 6 years, disco mania dominated pop culture. Following the premiere of Saturday Night Fever, the genre generated $10 billion. Popular acts included Kool and the Gang, Donna Summer, the Bee Gees. The biggest dance craze in American history died out because of 2 factors: crack cocaine and AIDS. Beginning in the early 1980s, drug violence kept dancing people away from the inner cities. Discos began disappearing in New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles. At the same time, police departments began closing nightclubs to slow the spread of a new virus affecting the gay community, HIV. By 1990, the music business had moved on to another genre, rap. And here's something else you might not know. While disco may be gone in America, it lives on overseas. It remains a popular dance craze in Sweden, Denmark, and many parts of Asia. There's even a disco in North Korea. Back after this. If you or your business is falling behind filing your tax returns, or if you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, please listen carefully. The Biden administration just unveiled an $80 billion plan to modernize the IRS and reduce the unpaid tax debt. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? You do not have to face the IRS alone. Hire Anthem Tax Services. They can help you settle your delinquent tax problems and all collections, and may even be able to reduce your back taxes significantly. If Anthem Tax Service cannot reduce your current monthly payment with the IRS or state, or they don't put you in a better position, you might qualify for the 100% money back guarantee. Please call Anthem Tax Services 800-810-9193, 800-810-9193, 800-810-9193. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has told leaders in Congress that with U.S. aid, his country can win the war with Russia. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer agrees.
It was a very powerful meeting. President Zelensky made it so clear how he needs help. But if he gets the help, he can win this war. And he outlined in some great detail, the kind of help he needs and how it will help him win.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's made clear to Schumer and others that Republicans demand border security changes in exchange for more Ukraine aid.
I have told him personally, I've told the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, that these are our conditions because these are the conditions of the American people. And we are resolute on that. It is not the House's issue right now. The issue is with the White House and the Senate.
Despite a firestorm of controversy over her refusal to condemn calls for genocide of Jews by student demonstrators at Harvard, the university's governing board announced today that Claudine Gay will stay on as president of Harvard University. On the Jerusalem news site allisrael.com today, American Jewish comedian Ami Kozak says the actions like these at Harvard are disappointing but not surprising.
On the administrative level, you're seeing spineless, gutless moral confusion. There's something so ridiculous only an intellectual would believe them. And I think, for me personally, this is like the nail in the coffin of the Ivy League institutions as places that teach you not how to think, but what to think. The full indoctrination of these students into the worst ideas of the left.
For now, President Claudine Gay is staying in her job. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 173 points, the Nasdaq rose 100, the S&P advanced 21. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful.
From the Michael Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A near normal chilly night tonight, low down to right around freezing, right around 32 degrees. Cloudy skies overnight tonight. A slow clearing. It may be very gradual, but I do expect to see some clearing at some point in the afternoon Wednesday. A dry day, though, too, and a high of 48 degrees. That's our coldest day of the week, and it's actually going to be still above normal. Thursday, 31 in the morning, but 54 in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Are you looking for a place to plan a party during this holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's Eve season? You're looking for a place just to unwind, kind of slow down, catch your breath from all the crazy holiday busy activity? Well, how about you head out to Johnny's Hideout in gorgeous High Ridge, Missouri? I just spoke with Johnny Dowse about a little party that I put on at Johnny's every year for all my public policy, Politico friends. Johnny's Hideout, the place to be. You can plan a party there this holiday season, a little get-together with your friends and family, or just go hang out and watch the game. What game? Well, Johnny will have every game on. They've got 50 big-screen TVs at Johnny's, a big game room in the back, and you know what? We might get a warm day here and there. They'll have the fire pits rocking and rolling out on the outdoor patio. Johnny featuring the famous Johnny Dowse chicken wings, the best barbecue in town. Johnny's Hideout, 5,000 square feet inside with everything I just mentioned, and that huge outdoor patio. Beautiful views. You know, it's gorgeous any time of the year. Spring, summer, fall, winter, doesn't matter. Also, check out the famous VIP Speaker of the House table on your next visit. Everything at Johnny's, all the details, the menus, the upcoming events, great photographs at jhideout.com. On Facebook, Johnny's Hideout STL. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge. We'll absolutely see you there.
Steph's Pizza is on the move to Lake St. Louis. That's right, you can now get the legendary Steph's Pizza and Pasta in Lake St. Louis, 111 Pond Fort Trail. Steph's Pizza, where Mondays you get a large pizza for the price of a small, and it just got more convenient for pickup or delivery in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis at 111 Pond Fort Trail. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
One of the 5 most traumatic experiences in life is moving. I can assure you that McGuire Moving can help ease that pressure. Moving into a new home or a new business, locally, internationally. McGuire is rated number 1. More than 80 years of experience. Free estimate? Call McGuire, 314-241-0600. 241-0600. McGuireMoving.com.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
I think on the bread and butter issues, Biden has failed young people, and we have an opportunity to do very well.
101.9 and 94.1.
Poor Joe Biden, to the extent that he knows what's going on every day, he doesn't have the energy any longer.
News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now. They just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Before the press. Hey, whoa. Hush up a second, okay? I got one more thing to say. I just signed another $200 million drawdown from the Department of Defense for Ukraine, and that'll be coming quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
4:07, and welcome into the Tuesday edition of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Again, my partner Tim Jones is out for the next few days for a well-deserved rest. In studio with me is Joey V on the Wheels of Steel, playing all the hits, as they like to say. How are you, sir?
Doing wonderful, my friend. Great to see you.
Great seeing you as well. That's Joe Biden there.
Don't tell me to hush.
Don't tell me to hush.
You hush.
You know, that's one of the things that has been very noticeable about the president of the United States the last year and a half or so, is his short-temperedness. And a lot of people are saying that is part of his cognitive decline. One of the issues that is on the president's mind and desk is supplemental funding for Ukraine. President of Ukraine is in Washington visiting with members of the Senate. He met privately with the House Speaker, Mike Johnson. He is desperately trying to secure aid for his beleaguered country. Senators and Congress members are scheduled to go on recess this Thursday. Many of them are saying that a deal for Ukraine, for Israel, for the border, for Taiwan will not be in the cards. That will be something that will have to happen next year. Of course, the White House released, the budget director released a memo saying that they did not have any more funds for Ukraine and that they would run out of money by the end of the year. I find that very curious that the president, just after his own White House said a week or so ago that there was no more money, somehow they have found, what was that, 29 million?
I was thinking it was like 200 million.
Or 200 million, 29 million.
For Zelensky?
200 million for weapons for the country, which they said there wasn't any money. That is a big issue that is before the Congress right now. The Republicans are saying that they will not sign off on money for Israel or Ukraine until our own border is secure. That is a big issue that we can talk about later in the show. What I want to talk about more than anything is just how bad Joe Biden is struggling. Yesterday, we talked about an article from Albert Hunt. Albert Hunt is a former Wall Street Journal columnist. He was the resident lefty on the editorial board. Wall Street Journal, of course, is very right-leaning. He wrote an article saying that he believed that Joe Biden, that it was time for him to possibly step into the sunset, turn the presidency over to others, and possibly move on. Another person who has said that he believes that the president should move on is Harold Meyerson. He wrote an article today titled, "Are the Democrats Sleepwalking Through Disaster?" Joey, where's the cut sheet?
Which one were we thinking of?
I know we had something with, let's go to cut 2.
Let's do it.
President Zelensky made it so clear how he needs help, but if he gets the help, he can win this war. And he outlined in some great detail, the kind of help he needs and how it will help him win. Even many of our Republican colleagues talked about we are winning this war. And if we get the help if he gets the help he needs, he will win. On the other hand, he made it clear, and we all made it clear, that if we lose, Putin wins. And this will be very, very dangerous for the United States. So we cannot let Putin influence through any surrogate what we need to do for Ukraine.
And you know what many people argue is that the United States can do two things at the same time. The House Speaker, Mike Johnson, has said that he does support aid for Ukraine, but he also wants to have money put aside for border patrol. I mean, when you have Mitt Romney, who is not one of the favorites among Republicans, even he is saying that the administration needs to relent, take up some of these border reforms, such as asylum reform, such as third country reform, instead of these folks passing through many countries where they could have relative freedom and safety. They are bypassing those countries and coming directly to the United States. And that is something that desperately needs to be reformed. You know, the Biden administration has said that they are trying to fix the border. They have come up with a $13.6 billion emergency supplemental funding bill for the southern border. That is part of the $106 billion request that includes money for wars in Israel and Ukraine. When you look at that $13 billion, you think of, well, they are trying to curb the border. They are trying to stop this mass illegal immigration. But when you look at some of the numbers, you realize that this money is not to hire additional border agents. It's not to hire or to fly more drones or to have more surveillance on the border. It's for basically more money to help process more illegal aliens. You know, our friends at the Americans First Policy Institute, who will have one of their members, Hogan Gidley, at 5:07 on the show. He's the former National Press Secretary for President Trump. He is also the vice chair of the Center for Election Integrity for AFPI. They came out with a report detailing what some of the money that the Biden administration is asking for. Here is just an example. They are asking $4.4 billion for U.S. Customs and Border Patrol management operations, including for temporary soft-sided facilities, migrant transportation, and medical care requirements. Now, they're saying this is for processing illegal aliens into the U.S., not deterring illegal immigration or enforcing existing law. Also, millions of taxpayer dollars to the Federal Emergency Management Administration for shelter and service program grants that go to non-government organizations that provide housing and other resources for illegal aliens. They also, with this money, want to build temporary, soft-sided, quote-unquote, facilities at the border that were heavily criticized during the Trump administration. Now they want to rebuild these facilities, and they want millions to the CBP to reimburse the Department of Defense for, quote, border security support along the border. They want $2.5 billion to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to hire additional criminal investigators. Now you think, oh, that's fine. If they're hiring these investigators so they can investigate who these people are that are coming across the border so that we can deport them quicker. Well, actually, it says that these criminal investigators, they do important national security and public safety work, but they are not involved in immigration removal proceedings. The hiring of these additional attorneys will take months or years and will have little impact on the current backlog. $1.42 billion to the Department of Justice's Executive Office for Immigration Review to hire 375 additional immigration judges and support staff through fiscal year 24. The hiring process within the Department of Justice takes 6 months at a minimum and is far too long to make a dent in the caseload, which is the highest in history. We've heard reports of people that are gaining parole, gaining asylum, that are getting court dates that are 3-4 years into the distance. The rate of people not attending their court dates, I think it's up to 80 or 90%. That is one of the recommendations that the Republicans want in order to try to stem this illegal immigration. Here's a smaller number, $850 million for migration and refugee assistance to fund illegal aliens from the Western Hemisphere exploring categorical parole. We've talked about the parole system, is that if you can make it to the country, claim that you are under duress in your home country, you get a court date, and then they hope to see you in 3, 4, 5 years down the line. We know how badly fentanyl has damaged this country. 70,000 people a year die from fentanyl overdose. It's the number one cause of death for young people. They have asked for $2.5 billion to the Department of Homeland Security and Department for Justice for fentanyl-related interdiction activities and programs. The problem is that all of these efforts deal with not changes at the border, but at ports. And the evidence suggests that most of the fentanyl is not coming in through ports. They're being smuggled in with migrants into our southern border. It's just amazing to me that, as we've said, this is such a no-brainer for this administration. We've seen the polls that show that they are at 64% disapproval on the border. Republicans have the momentum, have the PR edge when it comes to closing the border. This is something that the president can say that, hey, his hands was tied because I wanted to give aid to Ukraine and Israel, so I'm forced to do what I should be wanting to do anyway and secure the border. But it's a no-brainer. It's another example of the Democrats and their hierarchy are just beholden to the radical left. Joe Biden is afraid to do the right thing because of Hispanic activists who will claim that the United States is trying to close the border to everyone, become a closed society, when everyone knows that a country cannot survive having open borders with 7 to 10 to 12,000 people coming into the country illegally, and many of them are not known to this country. A country can't survive at that pace. And God forbid, and we hope that it never happens, that some of these folks that have snuck in the country could be Middle East sleeper cells that are just waiting for the signal back in these terrorist countries in order to do some type of attack on the United States. And if that happens, God forbid, I can't wait to hear what will be the excuse from all of those progressives and Democrats that have been calling for open borders and letting everyone into the country. As I said, God forbid, hopefully that day never comes, but with the policies that we are initiating right now, it's making it more of a reality one day. Coming up at 4:24, we'll talk with David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute. We'll talk about a St. Louis developer who owes $800,000 in property taxes, and City Hall officials pitch a plan to curb more murders in the St. Louis region. 4:45, Chris's Corner. I will give my interpretation of why I believe St. Louis is dying and why everyone is moving out. 5:07, Hogan Gidley, National Press Secretary for President Trump's re-election campaign, Vice Chair of the Center for Election Integrity. We'll talk to him about all news of the day, especially election news and his former boss. And at 5:24, we'll speak with Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. We'll talk about his impending suit against Media Matters. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A near normal chilly night tonight, low down to right around freezing, right around 32 degrees. Cloudy skies overnight tonight. A slow clearing. It may be very gradual, but I do expect to see some clearing at some point in the afternoon Wednesday. A dry day, though, too, and a high of 48 degrees. That's our coldest day of the week, and it's actually going to be still above normal. Thursday, 31 in the morning, but 54 in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
You know, looking back over the years, thinking about the things we had to do at our Jones home this year, and we got a lot of things actually done at the homestead. You know, day to day, you're like, oh my goodness, the grind just goes on and on. But one of the things we addressed was the air and the water in our home. I called my brother from another mother. I got Everett Jones out there of Jones Air and Water. Jones Air and Water specializes in air and water treatment products and services to enhance easier and better living in your home. Do in your home what we've done in our Jones home. Everett will take care of your water. We put in 2 water systems for drinking water. The awesome Topper drinking system really is amazing. It's bottled water quality and taste without all the plastic and all the expense. You're going to save a ton of money with this system. Also, the HTO, the Hydrotech HTO system, removing the hardness, improving the taste, getting rid of the nasty odors in your water as well. We got both those systems in. We have the Topper drinking system at the station here as well. It's really, really fantastic. How about making sure that your home is safe, right? Everett's running a special throughout the rest of this month, a radon special in combination with one of his partners, April Air. For $60, Everett will give you a take-home, do-it-yourself system to test the radon in your home. If you don't want to do it yourself, you're not sure if you do it right, I get it. $110, Everett will come and test it for you. Radon, you need to have that tested in your home every so often to make sure that your home is safe and sound for your loved ones. So whether it's taking care of the air in your home or your business or putting in awesome water treatment products and services as well, Everett Jones, Jones Air and Water, one-stop shop. Everett's got 25 plus years in the business. He's a master water specialist. Give him a call, 636-899-1040. Better yet, just remember this very simple web address, joneswater.com. That's joneswater.com.
Car and Driver magazine says the 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser is cool and affordable. 2024 Toyotas are showing up every day, ready for immediate delivery at Ackerman. In fact, Toyota has awarded Ackerman more vehicles than all competitors. Check it out yourself at Ackerman Toyota, Hampton and Interstate 44, or online, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota will get you the best deal. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
Hey guys, Ken Kruger. I've gotten to know these guys really well over the last few years. Yes, St. Louis Bath and Renovation. They're the most trusted name in bathroom remodelers in the St. Louis area. In fact, if you need bathroom repairs, complete bathroom remodeling, or handyman services, call St. Louis Bath and Renovation at 314-477-6476 or email Rob at stlbr.com. That's St. Louis Bath and Renovation.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Schroer from Stand and Fight every Sunday 8 to 10 p.m. If you need tree removal, storm damage, repairs to trees, tree trimming, pruning, if your bushes are out of control, call River City Tree Service. Free quotes right now, 314-270-8071, 314-270-8071. Professional tree services performed by ISA certified arborists. Request your free quote at rivercitytreeservice.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Last week, Alderman Rasheen Aldridge asked the interim public safety director, Charles Coyle, on officer staffing.
So I know we're currently down roughly 312 law enforcement officers, correct?
I didn't think it was that high. I thought it was more like 200.
The next day, Police Chief Robert Tracy revealed that they're working on a comprehensive plan to bring officers back to the force.
And we got to take this time to try to rebuild and bring people back into this profession.
And welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. It is 4:26, and as he does every Tuesday, our friend David Stokes.
David Stokes over at the Show Me Institute. In high school, you talk about spike. I had a very short spike. It was
I knew there's some spike somewhere in that stuff.
It wasn't very punky. It was more Leave It to Beaver-ish, maybe.
Dave, welcome to the show. You know, if you talk to the police, they will say that crime is down since the pandemic, of course, but there's still a impression that the city of St. Louis is not safe. Last week, we had on the show the president of the St. Louis University Young Republicans. She was not from St. Louis. One of the questions that I asked her, would she, after graduation, remain in St. Louis? And she was adamantly saying, no, she wouldn't, and crime was one of the issues.
Well, it's crazy how bad it's gotten, and I recognize that it might have come down slightly in the past year and a half, and that's a wonderful thing. But you know, when it skyrockets up to an unacceptable level and then comes down slightly from there, it's still at an unacceptable level. And that's what, you know, East West Gateway had this crime commission, this crime summit last week. I know the Post had the story today of just how drastically short the city of St. Louis is for police officers. And I don't know what the city can do about that in the short term. Obviously, they can become more supportive, the elected officials that is, of their police and more willing to back their police in difficult situations. But, I mean, it's a nation, as I think Chief Tracy was quoted on there, this is a nationwide problem now, convincing people to become police officers, because who wants to put their life on their line? And when you make a incredibly difficult judgment call in an emergency situation, the next thing you know, you're public enemy number one, and people are protesting all over the world against you.
David, the city of St. Louis right now is flush with cash from the pandemic COVID money, from the RAM settlement money. Can and has some of that money been used to hire additional police officers? I know it takes time to train them. And as you said, there is the question of why would someone want to put their life and reputation on the line to be a police officer in these days and times. But is there money an issue?
Money is not an issue. I don't think it is. The city of St. Louis still has plenty of money, and if it was if money had nothing to do with it, trust me, there'd be plenty more young police officers in the city. It's still, to my knowledge, the only police academy around where you get paid to go to the police academy. I mean, you're getting paid a salary, not a full salary at point, but a salary while you're being trained for several months. And they've gotten pay raises and the like. It's not a money issue, although certainly we could always pay our police a little more, and I'm sure that would help. If you're going to be a police officer, who wants to put yourself in that position answering to elected officials who I don't think most police think are going to have their back when push comes to shove, or more likely something far worse than pushing and shoving. And who can you blame for that? Like, if you want to be a police officer, go someplace where you think the elected officials are going to be supportive of you more often. And hopefully, over time, that will change in the city of St. Louis. Hopefully, I'm overstating the case. I would be ecstatic to be wrong, but I don't think I am. And I think that's the type of thing that police officers say when they're off the record.
David, the St. Louis Police Department says they are 300 police officers down. Can you put that in perspective for us, what that means in terms of total officers on the force and in terms of how that doesn't strengthen the police force being that many officers down?
Well, it's way down. I mean, there's only about 1,000 officers on the force right now. It's supposed to be substantially larger. So, look, clearly you're 30 to 35% down from where you're supposed to be. That's not something that you can easily cover with some overtime shifts. I mean, that's going to greatly strain the police officers you do have, as they have to work not just a little bit of overtime. All police officers work some overtime here and there. They're having to work a ton of it, the ones that they have out there. And remember how they had several dozen police officers at Kim Gardner's office wasn't even taking cases from because of these ludicrous positions taken by the former circuit attorney. So hopefully, I'm confident the new circuit attorney has addressed that, because you had police officers who wanted to be out patrolling but had to be at the desks because the Gardner's office wasn't going to take any of their cases anyway. It really got to a level of complete absurdity. And again, the new circuit attorney, I think he's universally being thought of as having done an excellent job in his 6 months in, and hopefully he'll continue for quite some time. But you need more support than just him. You need a wholesale change in how city elected officials look at their police and treat their police.
Speaking with David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. David, tell us about the St. Louis developer who owes close to $1 million in property taxes. Is St. Louis getting grifted once again?
Yes, they are. But, as so often happens, they've allowed this to happen to themselves. Finally, they appear to be cracking down a bit. It's not just that this developer, Green Street Development, is $800,000 back on property taxes. It's that this particular developer has received millions of dollars in tax subsidies through the years from the city of St. Louis. And this $800,000 they're short is already a heavily discounted amount that they should be paying. Don't get me wrong. I think everybody in the city of St. Louis should have lower property tax rates and lower taxes. But to have one of the developers that's gotten just a ton of money in subsidies, then continuing to ask for more subsidies while they haven't paid the reduced taxes that they owe, of course, it's ludicrous. And finally, the city of St. Louis seems to be saying no to their latest tax subsidy request. Of course, it shouldn't come to this. They should be far more concerned with lowering taxes and regulations for everybody and making people pay an even, steady amount of tax rates instead of giving certain developers big or huge tax cuts while the rest of us pay the same amount. And I say this as a city employee, so I pay the earnings tax. But that's not how they do things in the city of St. Louis. They love to give out incentives and subsidies because they think that's going to turn around the economy, whereas we know what's going to turn around the economy is what we discussed for the first 5 minutes of the program, which is getting a hand on the crime situation.
David, we've talked about the Chesterfield Mall development situation many, many times. It is back in the news again. Can you update us on that?
Well, there's been a lawsuit filed, again, I should say. Dillard's has filed a lawsuit against the Chesterfield TIF. Now, they filed a lawsuit, I guess it was probably 10, 11 months ago. My timing's probably not precise. That original case was dismissed, but they've refiled it, which is pretty standard in a court case to do things like that. Tim could explain it far better than I. He is an attorney, of course. But this new amended version of their complaint is very interesting reading, and it's available online. You can check it out. What it really stresses is that this whole TIF process is such a joke, and one of the keys to it is that you're supposed to at least pretend that the development would not go forward without the TIF. It's called the but-for test. But in this case, the whole development started before they received the TIF. So how can you, in good conscience, have the city of Chesterfield claiming and the developers claiming that it won't go forward without the TIF subsidy? Of course, it's preposterous. The TIF subsidy isn't needed at all. But the crux of the Dillard's case or argument is that, as I read it, and again, I admit to not being a lawyer, is that this development clearly did not need the TIF because it went forward before it got it. And then, of course, there's the main point of the argument why Dillard's has a case is that as property owners, they were never notified. They were excluded from this process improperly. So it's going to be very, very interesting to watch this revised case, amended case, whatever the proper title is, move forward to the court system. And I certainly am hopeful that Dillard's is able to successfully make a lot of these points to, at a bare minimum, have the state amend what a complete joke the TIF process is.
David, I know one topic that I wanted to talk to you about was officials plan to pitch a plan to curb murders in the St. Louis region. I want to ask you about that, but also ask you about the group that was given millions of dollars. Aldermanic President Reed Lewis Reed was a big supporter of it, where you had these people that were on the street that were supposed to be interventionists and stopped violence before it happened. Whatever happened to that program? Whatever happened to the money with that program? And what is this latest plan?
Well, I don't know what happened to the money with that program. Stunningly enough, I would imagine it was wasted.
Shocker.
That's just a guess. What this latest plan is part of a crime summit last week hosted by the East-West Gateway Council of Governments that I was able to attend on Monday. I was supposed to attend on their Friday version as well, but fell ill. But the Monday case was very interesting, and they've released a report with some goals to try to reduce murders, not just in the city of St. Louis, but in the greater St. Louis region, and to address it by really focusing in a variety of ways on the small group of hardcore criminals that make up such a large factor of both the perpetrators of violence and also the victims of violence. That was one of the findings that was released, is that not just the people committing the crimes, but the victims of so many of the crimes have extensive criminal records. And that probably isn't a surprise to anybody, with so much of the violence in the area being gang-related, beef-related, turf-related, whatever. So the plan now is to take some funds and use both police and social worker resources and other social resources to really focus on that small group of hardcore criminals to see how they can be removed from doing crime, not just through policing, although obviously policing has to be a huge part of it, and this thing is going to fail if they make it more about social work and less about law enforcement. I hope they don't do that. I don't think they are. But that doesn't mean that you don't have some sort of social aspect to try to address these, in most cases, young men active in gangs committing so many of the crimes in our region. And I wish them the best of luck. I was pleased to see in these meetings that they held last week that there was a lot of law enforcement involvement in it all. That's obviously a wonderful sign. And hopefully this proper sort of micro-targeting of the people doing the worst of the worst and so much of the percent of the crime, hopefully it'll be effective.
I'll tell you, from television shows and talking to folks that are counselors in that field, the one thing that those young men need is hope more than anything. You'd be very surprised how a great number of them don't ever think they're going to see their 17th, 18th, 19th birthday. And so they live recklessly because they don't expect to live very long. And when you have that type of mentality where you really don't care about your own life, you certainly aren't going to care about others.
Well, that's very well put, Chris. And it's incredible. Nobody doubts it's an incredibly complex situation in the city of St. Louis, and we probably got too far away from we got too far away from enforcement of the law and criminal punishment in the last several years, but that doesn't mean that there doesn't have to be an overall solution that's much more than just trying to lock everybody up every time.
David, it's December. Show Me Institute have any guests this month, or is that for next year?
We do not. We will be having, though, a series of events next year. We're going to be getting back to having some breakfast meetings, breakfast policy discussions around the state, and we will be gladly promoting all of them on your show as often as we can. That's
David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. What's your Twitter, Dave? Your X?
At David C. Stokes. You got to put the middle initial in there.
David C. Stokes. Thank you so much, sir. Look forward to talking to you again next Tuesday.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you next week. Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners.
Merry Christmas to you as well. So refreshing to hear someone say that instead of Happy Holidays. Merry Christmas. Love that. When we come back...
the C stands for Claus. Did you know that?
I did not.
David Claus Stokes, yes.
I thought it was, Claude.
Claus. He's Santa in disguise.
Okay. Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. David Claus
Stokes.
Got it.
Don't forget it.
No, I won't forget it. When we come back, I'll talk about some of the reasons why I believe St. Louis is dying and some of the evidence for that. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk, STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A near normal chilly night tonight, low down to right around freezing, right around 32 degrees. Cloudy skies overnight tonight. A slow clearing. It may be very gradual, but I do expect to see some clearing at some point in the afternoon Wednesday. A dry day, though, too, and a high of 48 degrees. That's our coldest day of the week, and it's actually going to be still above normal. Thursday, 31 in the morning, but 54 in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Do you need repair work done to the exterior of your home? How about your roofing? If you're a commercial or industrial business owner, do you need some roofing work done? Well, whether it's residential exterior repair, roofing, siding, gutters, soffit, fascia, so much more, or whether you've got a commercial or industrial roof you need some work on, Eureka Contracting and Roofing is your one-stop shop for all of those needs and so much more. Tim Jones here to tell you about my experiences with Eureka Contracting and Roofing. They've been fantastic. I have been a customer for many, many years. Rick Hinkson and his gang, they know exactly what they're doing. They will work with you from the beginning to the end, and they're with you long after the project is over. They've got over 10 years in the business, over 30 years of experience in the claims adjusting and construction world. When the storms hit, don't sign up with the first Yahoo salesperson that knocks on your door. Call someone local, someone you can trust, someone that's not a fly-by-night operation for a no-pressure inspection and estimate. And then, if you bring Eureka Contracting and Roofing on board, I don't know why you wouldn't, they're going to be with you from the beginning to the end, working with the insurance company, working with all the construction aspects, and they're going to be with you there at the end in case there's anything that needs a little split ends, loose ends tidied up on. They're going to help you out with that as well. Check them out 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. Got a number to remember, 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF, 24/7, as I mentioned, at eurekacontracting.com, eurekacontracting.com.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Vincent's Jewelers carries a full selection of lab-grown diamonds and jewelry containing lab-grown diamonds. Lab-grown diamonds are a great alternative to natural mined diamonds. They have the same physical, chemical characteristics of a traditional diamond, beauty, durability you want, but at a 70 to 90% discount. See them in person at Vincent's and at vincentsjewelers.com. vincentsjewelers.com.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
Ukrainian President Zelensky in D.C., hand in hand, begging for more money for Ukraine. Will he get it?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
We need a clear articulation of the strategy to allow Ukraine to win. And thus far, their responses have been insufficient. They have not provided us the clarity and the detail that we requested over and over since literally 24 hours after I was handed the gavel as Speaker of the House. And so what the Biden administration seems to be asking for is billions of additional dollars with no appropriate oversight, no clear strategy to win, and none of the answers that I think the American people are owed.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. It is 4:47, and Speaker Mike Johnson has a point there that Americans feel that money is going overseas and to other things, and while our cities and our communities deteriorate greatly, that's going to be the topic of Chris's Corner, but not yet, Joey. I want to acknowledge my wonderful wife, Becky, who came to the studio and surprised me. She's been out of town the last couple of days, and I thought I was going to pick her up at the airport at 8 o'clock. And she walked into the studio about 30 minutes ago and gave me a very, very pleasant surprise.
Chokehold I saw.
She was a chokehold.
She came from behind. She said, guess what?
She did.
I'm going to let you live another day.
She did. And so, Becky, thank you first for the surprise. Appreciate you, and love you so much. And forget all the niceties and all that, Joey. Let's get into Chris's Corner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
You know, we talked to David Stokes there in the last segment about the St. Louis police officers being 300 down, about the plan the city of St. Louis Alderman had to defend the city. It's sad seeing our city being hollowed out. We saw it firsthand here at News Talk STL when we moved out of our studios at Union Station and have moved out here to beautiful Maryland Heights. Just last week, KMOV TV studio for years has been downtown, One Memorial Plaza. Every St. Louisan knows that famous address. They have moved their offices, their studios, out to Maryland Heights as well, along with a lot of iconic businesses just over the decades that used to be headquartered here in St. Louis. General Dynamics, Boeing, a lot of the companies have left for greener pastures. One thing that was really, really sad today, and I was looking through the newspapers, websites doing my show prep, and it was just a series of just negative articles about St. Louis that was really sad. One of them was, of course, the AT&T Tower that's downtown, the 44-story building, one of the tallest buildings in the Midwest, the tallest building in St. Louis. That magnificent building, Joey, is being sold, asking price $2.5 million for a 44-story building. There was a deal to buy the property and convert it into penthouses and shops and everything. But look at downtown St. Louis. Why would anyone want to come down to St. Louis and buy a penthouse in that iconic building? 44-story building, that holds thousands of people. And I just can't see thousands of people wanting to move downtown. We look at St. Louis City. One of the reasons we're so glad we've left St. Louis City is we don't have the 1% earnings tax to pay anymore. You look at your paycheck, that actually adds up to a nice little chunk of change at the end of the year. The city of St. Louis always looking to get money out of its residents' pockets. They are once again back on this technology, red light technology, in order to pick their residents' pockets again for these tickets, which of course they claim it is for safety. The Board of Aldermen moved forward with a request last week to bring back red light cameras. Here is Aldermanic President Megan Green. She said, quote, "We have designed a program that does pass constitutional muster. If we are sued, we are confident we can retain or withstand a court challenge." So that's the latest money grab. They're going to try to bring this back any way that they can. And then there was another sad story. There's businesses along South Grand are considering earlier curfews, closing up early, and other safety protocols or proposals because the neighborhood is so bad. People are fleeing St. Louis. The population, at once, St. Louis was the fourth largest city in the country. Now our population is under 200,000 or under 300,000. Kansas City is now the largest city in the city of in the state of Missouri, population-wise. You don't see any leadership in the country, in the city. They claim that they are progressive, but if they were really, really progressive, they would be thinking of some out-of-the-box strategies in order to try to turn the city of St. Louis around. The city is dying, and it's hollowing out. And there are examples of cities that were along the same path as St. Louis. You remember a few years ago, Detroit was dying, was a decaying city. And it had leaders who decided to take another tack, change the status quo, and now Detroit is a thriving city. St. Louis, you don't see that. Tim and I often talk about when we travel to different states for conferences and things, and we take Ubers to the hotels and or to the airport, and you see these metropolises that are growing. You see highways being built. You see cranes downtown everywhere. You see skyscrapers being built. You don't see that in St. Louis. You go to Clayton, you may see one crane downtown Clayton. You go to St. Louis, maybe one. More than likely, there aren't any. St. Louis, hollowed out. My hometown, wasn't born here, but I've been here 55 of my 57 years. It's sad to see what it used to be and what it is becoming. And that is Chris's Corner. Joey, you're a native St. Louis, aren't you?
I sure am. Born and raised. I still live in the city, but I do have some gripes about some of the stuff that we got going on.
I mean, is it depressing to see News Talk STL move out of the city, KMOV move out of the city? The other television stations have moved out of the city years ago. Mm-hmm. It just seems to be hollowed out.
Yeah, I believe. I've heard this from my grandma. She recently passed, but she worked at KMOX, and I think they used to be in that one Memorial Plaza building where KMOV was. Mm-hmm. So I wish I could have seen it while it was still in its heyday, and they were just reporting on the news. But in a place where nobody goes anymore, really, downtown, they've got so many parking meters. They're obsessed with putting parking meters where they can just grift people, basically, like around Crown Candy Kitchen. It's in the middle of North Side St. Louis or whatever, and there's parking meters just all around that iconic landmark. I've gotten a ticket out there just trying to eat a bacon sandwich because I parked across the street from it. You know, Tashara Jones was a treasurer. She's now the mayor. I think she could get rid of all these parking meters and give one less thing for us to stress out about when we're down there.
Well, there's a thing in politics, Joey, that's called follow the money. Mm-hmm. And there was a contract between the mayor's office and a contributor of hers dealing with a parking contract. It was happening during the pandemic when no one was going downtown. Mm-hmm. And so people thought maybe that contract should be voided because people aren't doing anything that were supposed to be enforcing these parking meters of a private company. And they made a whole lot of money and didn't do much. So the mayor seems to have a thing with these traffic meters, the ease of them. They're supposed to be, I hate them. I wish I could just go to a parking meter and just put $3 in, put $1 in, instead of trying to get your card out, figure out what space you're in.
They just did that around Busch Stadium. They made it so you can't just leave your spot and give it up to someone else and let them have the rest of the minutes. It's pay by plate now in front of Busch Stadium.
Are you serious?
So as soon as you leave, if another car takes it, you're ready to get a ticket right then and there.
Wow. Because I used to do that, too. You'd go up in Clayton or somewhere where there was a meter, and if you felt like you kind of won the lottery that day when you pulled up and there was like 45 minutes on the meter, you're like, yeah.
They're putting an end to that. They're spending all this money to update these meters to be smarter just so they can charge us more tickets.
Wow. Didn't know that. I'm sure that it's a tremendous amount of money with those tickets and those fines. I remember my wife's Becky is here with me when at Disney World, where you go through the little fountain and people throw the coins and stuff. How much money did they say they collect out of that thing a year? It was like $150,000, $160,000.
Yeah.
in just coins that people.
I think they do give theirs to charity over at Disney, but yeah, not if I'm swimming in there first, though. Filling my pockets with quarters.
I hear you.
I got your wishes.
I got your wishes. Wish upon a star.
Exactly.
At 5:07, we will speak with Hogan Gidley, National Press Secretary for President Trump's re-election campaign 2020. And at 5:24, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. You are listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
You want to give a unique gift this holiday? I suggest Stolac Whiskey, produced in Missouri. Stolac Whiskey, born of natural limestone filtered water from the Ozark Highlands, aged in Missouri oak. Stolac, so smooth. Trust me, you're going to enjoy it. So next time, ask for Stolac. Visit the website, stolac.com. Stolac, STOWLOCH, from Stone Ledge Distillery.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says it appears there will be no deal on funding for Ukraine and Israel before the Christmas break.
McConnell told reporters a deal by Christmas is now practically impossible and encouraged President Biden to get more actively involved in the negotiations. A disagreement over border reforms demanded by Republicans as part of the deal has proven to be a major hurdle. McConnell says even if an elusive compromise were to be reached, there's not enough time now to draft a bill and get it passed in both the Senate and House by the end of the week. The House begins its holiday break on Friday and won't be back until January. Bob Agnew reporting.
Harvard's president will keep her job. Correspondent Rita Foley reports.
Claudine Gay will remain president of Harvard after blowback following her comments last week at a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism. She and 2 of her peers struggled to answer questions. At issue was a line of questioning that asked whether calling for the genocide of Jews would violate the university's code of conduct. Harvard now says its initial statement should have been an unequivocal condemnation of genocide, but the academic responses of the university leaders at the hearing provoked backlash. Harvard now says President Gay has apologized for how she handled her congressional testimony and has committed to redoubling the university's fight against anti-Semitism. I'm Rita Foley.
Fox News is reporting that lawyers for President Trump have appealed to Judge Tanya Chutkan to pause proceedings against Trump while his appeal is pending. The filing comes after special counsel Jack Smith asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review Trump's appeal in an expedited manner. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 173 points. The Nasdaq rose 100, with the S&P 500 advancing 21. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-366-6633. That's 800-366-6633. 800-366-6633.
Jacked. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A near normal chilly night tonight, low down to right around freezing, right around 32 degrees. Cloudy skies overnight tonight. A slow clearing. It may be very gradual, but I do expect to see some clearing at some point in the afternoon Wednesday. A dry day, though, too, and a high of 48 degrees. That's our coldest day of the week, and it's actually going to be still above normal. Thursday, 31 in the morning, but 54 in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. We have an exciting new training opportunity available for public school and Christian school teachers. The Herzog Foundation Institute has partnered with the Bill of Rights Institute to offer 4 training events in 4 Missouri cities this year. These day-long professional development opportunities are best suited for middle and high school civics, government, U.S. history, and social studies teachers. Middle and high school teachers have a unique opportunity to strengthen civic knowledge and values for the next generation. We want to help teachers seize this opportunity.
Visit herzogfoundation.com/events to learn more and register for a Bill of Rights Institute training event near you. herzogfoundation.com/events. herzogfoundation.com/events.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Now I'm back with my latest series called the Mugshot Edition. I wonder where that came from, the Mugshot Edition. 47 all-new stunning cards, and here is the best part. I'm doing 2 important things for my Trump collectors. For the first time, we're creating a real physical Trump card. Purchase 47 digital cards, and we'll mail you a beautiful trading card. It is an authentic piece of the suit I wore when I took that now famous mugshot. And it was a great suit, believe me, a really good suit. It's all cut up, and you're going to get a piece of it.
506 on the Joey making me laugh on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and that is President Trump. I had never heard that before.
These are beautiful cards.
Beautiful cards.
A lot of people are saying they're beautiful.
They're beautiful cards. Let's see what our next guest has to think about those trading cards. He is Hogan Gidley, former National Press Secretary for President Trump's re-election campaign and Vice Chair of the Center for Election Integrity. Hogan, how are you, my friend?
Doing really well. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, I want to ask you, speaking of President Trump, a Des Moines Register poll came out a few days ago showing him at 51% in New Hampshire. That's a pretty strong poll. I think the last time anyone was up with a lead that high, this close to the caucus, was George W. Bush almost 25 years ago. Hogan, is this race over?
A lot of crazy things can happen in Iowa. Look, I worked for Huckabee. I worked for Santorum, both of whom were not even polling really at this point before they started to really catch fire right there around Christmas. But there's a big difference in this race than others, and that is the fact that Donald Trump was a sitting president with a record of proven success on behalf of all Americans. It's hard to go against someone who doesn't have to just say, I promise if you elect me, I'll do these things. He can look in the camera, look to a voter and say, I did them once, I'll do them again. Your life was better just 2 short years ago. We can get that back. We can take this country back. It's a very good selling point. And to answer your question, barring some crazy unforeseen issue, I think it is all but over. I mean, you can play out all the scenarios you want to. I don't think Nikki Haley finishes second in Iowa. I think she finishes third. She goes to New Hampshire. She's not going to win New Hampshire. Trump wins New Hampshire. He's going to win South Carolina. She'll be 0 for 3. If DeSantis finishes second in Iowa, if he finishes third, he's for sure going to have some serious trouble. But if he finishes second by 10, 20 points, 30 points, 40, whatever it is, then he goes to New Hampshire. Well, he's not winning New Hampshire because Nikki's put in the time there. He's not going to win South Carolina because that's Nikki's old home state, and Trump's going to win them both. He'll be 0 for 3. By then, it's really difficult to unbake that cake because it is all but done, but for the frosting at that point.
Mm. Hogan, there was a poll that came out recently. I think Politico. It was on Politico. I don't know if it was their poll, but it showed nearly 1 in 5 Black Americans, 17%, said they would vote for former President Donald Trump, and another 20% said they would vote for someone else other than President Joe Biden. How much for grabs is the Black vote really during this 2024 election cycle?
Well, it's up for grabs more so than ever before. And again, it was the successes of the previous administration that really resonated with so many Americans. We talk about it all the time, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed. You were seeing policies that were implemented that gave your children, your family, a better future. Who doesn't want that? That's not a racial issue. It's not a gender issue. That's just an American issue. And so many of the policies that Donald Trump was really advocating for, put in place. I mean, you're talking about America First policies that take party out of it. They're supported by 80% of the people, 80-20 issues. And if Donald Trump can secure that many votes from the African-American community in the teens, he'll win this race going away. Because as you know, the left relies on the Black vote to be there for them without question, without concern. But it was Donald Trump who went out and tried to get that vote before. And so what do you have to lose? And, of course, at the time, so many of his campaign staff were freaking out because he said it. But a lot of people looked around and said, that's a great point. We're no better off doing these policies from the left. You're seeing revolts around those policies in places, California, for example, where these cities are really upset at the leadership, the mayors, the DAs, the governors, because they don't work. These policies are failed. And so when you look at someone like Trump who has the ability to come in, shake things up, not care about the haters, and instead, implement successful policies, it's attractive for everybody.
Hogan, you're a communications expert, of course, but you're also a political operative strategy guy as well. How crazy is it that the Republicans are basically giving the Biden administration a lifeline when it comes to the border by trying to reform the border and putting in common sense reforms? It's a win-win for everyone, Republicans, and say that they have strengthened the border, and Biden can say the same as well. I don't understand their strategy there.
If you're going to ask me to try to explain the strategy of people in Congress, it's going to be hard to do. Look, it is a clear win for Biden. Should he take it? But he's not. It doesn't look like he's planning on taking that at all. In fact, he's doing the opposite, rejecting it. But that could be kind of a smart move by the congressional Republicans too, to say, look, see, it's not about securing the border for him. He doesn't care, right? It exposes somewhat of the political nature and the thought process of the left and how they don't really care about the American people. They're concerned about securing borders in other countries, not our own. So there are all kinds of issues like that. But understand what the left wants to do is just throw more money at the border to process more people. They don't want to change the policy. And so when they say they can't fix it, Congress has to do it, that's just a bald-faced lie. Donald Trump did it without Congress for the most part because they were working against him. Even when we had control of Congress, it was designed through executive orders, through partnerships with other agencies to spend that money to protect the American people and have sane, rational policies, even so far as going so far as to make deals with Mexico so that people could remain there before they came into this country, waiting for a trial that 80% of whom were discovered not to really have legitimate claims to asylum, for example. So a lot of things can be done here, but it looks like Republicans are holding some of the lines at least. But get the fact here, and I think this is important.
Mm-hmm.
I know what a lot of people want the Republican Congress to do, but they only have a third of the government. The Democrats still control the Senate and the White House. And so regardless of whether it's Speaker Johnson or McCarthy or Jim Jordan or anybody else, the political reality exists that makes it very difficult to get through a lot of the things we would have them get through.
Hogan, we saw that disgusting display last week on the Hill with the 3 Ivy League presidents testifying, saying that they couldn't say what was Jewish genocide or not. One of the persons has resigned. The African-American president at Harvard, she has kept her job, apparently. I'll answer the question for you. Because you can't probably, Hogan, but do you think because this woman was black, that's the reason why she kept her job and the others are probably going to lose theirs?
Well, look, let's be honest. The left cares about checking those boxes. They care about the intersectionality, and where you're on that hierarchy depends on how many of how many of the groups that you represent in your very being. So, yeah, look, far be it from me to guess here, but it looks as though there's some serious issues that have kind of taken hold of these colleges and universities. The DEI stuff, of course, is bad. But now, say what you want to about the horrors of COVID, and there were many, but at least we got to see behind the curtain. We get to see what teachers were teaching our grade school kids. Now, all of a sudden, you can say what you want about this war in Israel, but we have gotten to see behind the curtain in colleges and universities too, and what our college kids are learning, and what these endowments, these massive multi-million-dollar endowments are going for teaching our kids. And it's reprehensible. It's disgusting. They're lies, but it has to do with the class structure that they kind of push on everybody, and that is they're the oppressed and they're oppressors, and that's all it is to them. And so it's a real shame what's going on at these colleges and universities. And when you saw those people talking in front of Congress, in front of that committee last week, I mean, my mouth was on the floor that you could not condemn people who are seriously pushing to eradicate the Jewish people. It just blows my mind. And thankfully, some of the people are exposed and some actions have been taken.
Hogan, David Axelrod kind of started the floodgates of the calls for Joe Biden to possibly step down and not for run for re-election. Al Hunt, who used to be a Wall Street Journal editorial board member, he came out with an article over the weekend. Harold Meyerson with American Prospect, I think he came out with an article today. The calls are getting loud, and they all have the same theme, that, Joe, you did a great job. The economy is humming now. Now it's time to pass over the gavel, and that should be done at the convention this summer. Say he wants to pass the gavel on, and that's how they do the succession plan. What's your thoughts on that?
They could, but let's be honest. You may not know this, Chris, and your listeners may not know this either, but they may be even surprised to know politicians have egos. Did you know that?
I think I've heard that somewhere.
And Joe Biden literally thinks he's the only person on the planet who can take this country to record highs, even though we're at record lows. He's the only person. He thinks he's the only person in the world who can save this country, which is ridiculous. And so I think in large measure, that's going to be kind of the conversation moving forward internally amongst their side, is that he thinks he can beat Trump because he says he did it once. So he thinks he can do it again. I will tell you, I find it very difficult to believe they're going to switch horses mid-race here. But I would not be surprised if they did it, only because Joe Biden's health is so bad. You can just see it. His mental state so bad. But that brings me to the next point, where if Joe Biden takes himself out of the race, I think that's the only way you see a switch at the top of the ticket.
Hogan, we all know that you are a regular contributor on Newsmax, Wake Up America in the morning, and other shows. But I've been seeing you lately doing some MSNBC, NBC work as well. What's up with that?
Well, look, you got to take the good news to the people out there who don't want to hear it, right? They have to understand the audiences that listen to ABC and NBC and CBS, and I'm doing them all, need to know that the lies they've been told for a long time are just that. They need to be told what the truth is and how these successful policies from the previous administration really did improve this country. And I think they've bought into so much of their own hype that they don't realize some of the realities that exist in this country, and that, quite frankly, people like you and me who don't really hail from or claim Washington, D.C. or the Beltway as a home, that we understand where middle America is on a lot of these issues. And quite frankly, they just need to be told the truth every now and then. So it's always interesting for me to go on those shows and have those conversations and be on panels with panelists who think there's no evidence, for example, none whatsoever, that Joe Biden did anything wrong with Hunter Biden. It just makes me chuckle. But I have to go in there and participate in those fights and try and do as much to get the truth out as I possibly can.
You get any blowback from conservative audiences? Why are you on those turncoats network?
I don't think so. Not that I've seen, unless you're on my Twitter feed and you see them. I don't see them. But what are you going to do? It'd be like, if I worked in administration again, they may say, why do you go on those networks? It's a waste of time. Maybe. But, you're out there speaking on behalf of a president, trying to get that information out there. You got to tell it to people who don't necessarily agree with you all the time, because, you're going to win your base. You got to tell the middle of America why you need Republican policies, why you need America First policies, because they've been told for so long by the hosts of those shows that they're all evil. Those policies are evil. The other side's evil, and we're not.
We've been speaking with Hogan Gidley, National Press Secretary for President Trump's reelection campaign 2020. He's also Vice Chair of the Center for Election Integrity. J. Hogan Gidley, thank you so much, sir. And when is your next television appearance?
I do not know. Nothing is scheduled right now. I was so focused on this radio hit. I want to make sure I did this.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Hogan.
All right, guys.
Look forward to seeing you
See
again.
y'all later. Bye.
Excellent. Hogan Gidley, friend of the show, do panels with him on Wake Up America on Newsmax, has a very keen political mind, is close to President Trump. So we're looking one day, Joey, to have President Trump on the show, and hopefully Hogan Gidley could hook that up for us. We've been working on that.
We should do an event over at the Westport Playhouse. We bring them all
Have the
in.
president come into the View?
We may have to dress up, especially with Hogan.
Exactly.
You're going to look bad wearing your sweatshirt up there with Trump and Hogan.
Keep it real.
All right. Yes,
Keep it
sir.
real. Hey, 5:24, when we come back, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey will talk about his investigation of Media Matters and other things regarding the Attorney General's office. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
She waits at backstage doors for those who have prestige, who promise fortune and fame, a life that's so carefree. She's saying that's okay.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
I'll be the freak you can talk. I don't care what you say. I wanna go too far. I'll be your everything if you make me your star.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A near normal chilly night tonight, low down to right around freezing, right around 32 degrees. Cloudy skies overnight tonight. A slow clearing. It may be very gradual, but I do expect to see some clearing at some point in the afternoon Wednesday. A dry day, though, too, and a high of 48 degrees. That's our coldest day of the week, and it's actually going to be still above normal. Thursday, 31 in the morning, but 54 in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Make us part of your holiday this year with the News Talk STL Family Christmas. We'll share personal stories and play our favorite Christmas songs starting Christmas Eve at 6 and Christmas morning at 6. Brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood and Super Smokers Barbecue.
Are you looking outside the windows of your home or business now that we're heading into the winter months and thinking, man, I've got to get those trees taken care of? Well, I've got the place for you. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service, 636-379-1830, 24/7, always available at hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com. I was with Chad the other day. We went down to the big trade show for the tree cutting industry, and my goodness, Chad was pointing out all the great equipment, a lot of which Hanson's already has, and he's going to be bringing some new stuff on board, which means they can take care of whatever situation you've got at your home or business regarding trees, shrubs, bushes, tree and plant health care. It doesn't matter. Big job, little job, medium job, Hanson's Tree Service can take care of it all. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They do green waste recycling. They'll bring mulch. Get those mulch beds all spruced up. You want everything in the ground to be nice and warm and toasty through the winter months, right? Protect those assets you've already put in the ground with organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's, saving you on price, time, and incredibly convenient. You got any plants or trees that are showing some diseases? Well, Chad and the gang, certified arborists. They can take care of anything that you're worried about at your homestead. 636-379-1830, 24/7 at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Are you a natural leader driven by the desire to make a lasting impact? Is your deepest calling to be an elected official, making a real difference? Now, picture yourself with the power to shape the future in St. Louis City. St. Louis needs your leadership now more than ever. The urgency is real. The Republican Party, City of St. Louis can help you file, be your guiding force, and support you during the campaign. Contact stlouisrepublicans.com and step into your destiny.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
People have been waiting for years, let's say, for example, for to get citizenship, and they don't get anything. They've been here 40, 50 years. They can't get no amnesty. But then these people come, they get everything. They're getting their rent paid, they're getting money, they're getting phones, they're getting etc. What about the homeless people? What about the veterans? The veterans, exactly.
525 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and former Attorney General Eric Schmidt once said on our radio program that all states are border states now because of our massive border problem. On the line with us now is the current Missouri Attorney General, Andrew Bailey. Welcome, Mr. Attorney General.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you. You heard that clip where the citizen was complaining about illegal immigrants overriding the city. We see Chicago, we see New York, we see other cities that have been overrun. We haven't seen that yet in Missouri, in St. Louis or Kansas City. Why is that, and do you think we can expect that in the future?
Well, first and foremost, let me say I completely agree with Senator Eric Schmidt that every state is a border state at this point. And I'll tell you, the open border and whether or not we're going to protect our national sovereignty is one of the three central strategic fronts in the fight for the soul of America today. No border, no nation. I mean, if we're not going to enforce the border code, it undermines the rule of law across the board. And what President Biden has done is make Missouri communities less safe by flinging open the doors and allowing the cartel to run the border instead of our border security agents. And so fentanyl has flowed into our communities. Human trafficking has flowed into our communities. And again, it's making Missouri less safe. I will say in the state of Missouri, we have a tool at our disposal to fight back. We have a statute on the books that makes it a felony offense to knowingly transport or a criminal alien into or through the state of Missouri. That's an enormous deterrent effect against drug traffickers and human traffickers. And we need to use that statute to make sure we're enforcing the laws and preventing this invasion from negatively impacting Missouri further.
Attorney General Bailey, I should know this as a talk show host, but is Kansas City and St. Louis, are they considered sanctuary cities?
No, and there's an important reason behind that. In the state of Missouri, the General Assembly can preempt local control on issues that are of interest to the locals. And so, where the General Assembly enacts a statute, it occupies that legal field. And certainly by enacting the statute that prohibits criminalizes, in fact, knowingly transporting criminal aliens into or through our state, the legal position would be that the General Assembly has preempted that field, and certainly that any municipality or city that would try to run counter to that would run into direct conflict not only with the law but with the Attorney General's office as long as I'm here.
Mr. Attorney General, your office has been in the news, national news lately about the situation with X, or formerly known as Twitter, and Media Matters. For those that aren't aware of this situation, can you bring us up to speed?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say that the second front in the most strategic battle for the soul of our nation is the right to free speech. Are we going to be allowed to say, think, hear what we please pursuant to our freedoms guaranteed in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution? That means something to me. The freedom of speech is central to who we are as a republic. And yet radical progressive tyrants will lie, cheat, and steal to take that away from us. And the allegation here is that Media Matters, this is a radical progressive advocacy group, fraudulently solicited donations from Missourians and then took that money and converted it to a manipulated attack on the last platform dedicated to free speech in America, that being X, formerly known as Twitter. And what they did was they manipulated the algorithms on X in order to make it look as if controversial speech was appearing adjacent to these advertisers, and then they emphasized that controversial speech imagery with the advertisers in order to bully the advertisers into pulling out of Twitter. This should frighten all Americans. I mean, first of all, if Media Matters didn't like the speech being offered on Twitter, they should have offered counter speech, not rip off Missourians in an attempt to destroy the last platform dedicated to free speech.
Mr. Attorney General, is this suit on behalf of the defrauded donors, or is the state of Missouri suing Media Matters?
Well, right now we've launched an investigation. We've demanded that Media Matters retain certain documents as we look into their status as a 501c3. It is illegal under the federal code for a 501c3 to generate funds unrelated to the purpose of the not-for-profit. So we need to understand how much money did they take from Missourians? Under what pretense did they take that money? And then how is it converted to use? The other problem here is the market manipulation. Again, this is a not-for-profit that is now impacting the corporate world by bullying these advertisers into pulling their dollars out of X in order to try to make X collapse. And so why are they manipulating the private marketplace? The only reason can be they hate X because they can't control it. And so there's an antitrust angle here as well. And again, we're going to look at all of the evidence and determine which body of law best applies to these facts and hold wrongdoers accountable.
Has the state of Missouri joined other states in suing Media Matters?
Yeah, certainly. We've coordinated with Texas. Texas has launched a similar investigation, and we're in talks with other states as well. This is a new front in the war, in the fight for free speech, and Missouri was first out of the gate on this issue. I would also say that we've led the fight on free speech since day one, since I've been in office, carrying on the Missouri v. Biden suit to put an end to government censorship on big tech social media. We're going to the Supreme Court on that case. Also litigating against the gag order that was placed on President Trump. But now what we're seeing is this new front developing where radical progressive advocacy groups will manipulate the marketplace to destroy public forums for free speech. And so it's important that conservative leaders step up and continue to keep the pressure on the enemies of freedom to protect our constitutional rights.
Attorney General, I see a report here on Fox 2 News that from December 8th that you are suing Washington University Transgender Clinic for documents. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, as you know, and as your listeners will recall, the Attorney General's office has been on this issue since day one. Since I took office, we had a whistleblower come forward and make certain credible and specific allegations against the transgender pediatric clinic there in St. Louis. We launched a formal investigation, and at first the clinic cooperated with the investigation. Subsequently, the General Assembly passed legislation that put an end to child sterilization in the state of Missouri, and we successfully defended that bill against legal attack by the ACLU. And again, the clinic in St. Louis had said that they would turn over a second batch of documents, but then subsequently decided not to do that. And so we're disappointed, and we're going to have to file suit. We have reason to believe that Biden's federal government has intervened and told the clinic not to cooperate with the investigation and are using HIPAA. The privacy law is covered, but as anyone knows, there's a specific carve out from HIPAA for state regulators conducting these kinds of investigations. So we're confident in the outcome of this case. We need these documents to close out our investigation and, again, figure out what went wrong here so we can put systems in place to prevent it from ever happening again and make Missouri the safest state in the nation for kids.
Mr. Attorney General, we have seen a lot of unrest on our college campuses ever since the horrific attack by Hamas on Israeli citizens. There have been an increase in anti-Semitic incidences all over the country, especially on our college campuses. Have we seen a rise of that on our own campuses? Has that been reported to your office?
You know, I have not received specific reports about that on college campuses, although it's very entirely possible that it could be happening. But certainly we've seen that on our public streets, and specifically there in St. Louis, where in at least a couple of instances, the pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas protesters actually physically assaulted counter-protesters that were supporting Israel. And this is deplorable behavior. These people should be ashamed of themselves. Anyone who would stand with terrorists is on the wrong side of this issue morally. Here in Missouri, we stand with Israel. I mean, this is the last democracy in the Middle East and one that has been an ally of the United States of America. They have a right to exist. And what happened when Hamas attacked and took hostages and committed atrocities, war crimes, brutalities against the Israeli people, they need to be taken out. And so I applaud the work that the IDF has done cleaning out the streets block by block in Gaza to eliminate the terrorist threat. They are right to do so, and we stand with them and against the pro-terrorist protesters.
Mr. Attorney General, I want to thank you for all of your efforts to hold Kim Gardner, a former circuit attorney, accountable. Thank God that she is no longer in office, and we have someone in there now, Gabe Gore, who seems to be doing a great job. He is not in the news, which is what you want from your circuit attorney. I'm wondering, are there attorneys from the Attorney General's office working in the circuit attorney's office helping to clear these backlog of cases?
Yeah, we're certainly assisting. We kept 100 cases from the city in order to assist in the prosecution of those cases. We don't physically work in the circuit attorney's office. They're just cases assigned to the Attorney General's office where the AG represents the state of Missouri in those cases. You know, we have an office in downtown St. Louis at the old post office, and we have numerous attorneys there that are highly skilled and qualified to handle those cases. So happy to keep 100 of those cases from the city's docket just to make sure that wrongdoers are held accountable and help eliminate the backlog and restore the rule of law to the city of St. Louis.
All right, let's switch in the couple of minutes we have left to politics. One, you are running for election as Attorney General. You have received an important endorsement lately. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, proud to say that Senator Eric Schmidt has endorsed my candidacy. And, look, I inherited a legacy of excellence that he left behind at the Attorney General's office. And we've taken so many of the issues that he started and had pushed forward and had pushed them continue to push those forward. I stand with Senator Schmidt. That's somebody who's a friend and a mentor of mine, and it's just a privilege to get to serve in the office that he once occupied and to get to continue to carry on his legacy of excellence with so many great staff and team members that are still here, that it's a privilege to get to work with to carry on that legacy of excellence.
December usually is a slow month for politics. People kind of take it easy for the holidays. What does your campaign schedule look like at the beginning of the year?
We're staying busy in both the political capacity and the official capacity. I'll tell you, we're all over the state. Again, we have prosecutors deployed in just about every jurisdiction in the state of Missouri to bring wrongdoers to justice. We prosecute consumer protection cases across the state. And so we're in just about every county, every city, every town, and we travel the state. And there's a lot of energy behind the work that we're doing to protect Missourians and protect our constitutional rights. Again, 28 lawsuits that we have pending right now against the Biden administration to try to rein in federal overreach, keep Biden from committing unconstitutional acts. Some of those cases are at the United States Supreme Court. Some of them we've already won at the Supreme Court. And so we are fighting and winning for the state of Missouri. Results matter. This is the show me state. People, this is my home, and the folks that I talk to, they want to see wins on the board. Certainly we're fighting and winning for Missourians and delivering those wins, and that energizes folks. And getting to be out in the public and meet with folks, gives me a lot of energy too, to get to be able to take this fight to the enemies of freedom every day.
Well, I got to tell you, Mr. Attorney General, one move that you have made in your office, I have to give you big kudos for. Great move, bringing in Brandon Rathert, former Wake Up Mid-Missouri co-host there in Columbia, onto your staff. I think that was a brilliant move.
Well, I appreciate it. Brandon is a skilled professional and someone who has really improved our game around here, and we're lucky to have him as a team member. And it's someone it's a pleasure to get to work with, and certainly appreciate him chipping in and being a part of this team and leading us in such a great direction.
Yeah, great guy. Before we close up here, is there a final message you'd like to get out, or a website, or where folks can get more information about the Attorney General's office and your campaign?
Yeah, check us out at ago.mo.gov. That's ago.mo.gov. Follow the great work we're doing, fighting and winning for the people of the state of Missouri.
Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for your time, and keep up the good work, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Hey, thank you, sir. Merry Christmas to you and your listeners.
Merry Christmas to you as well. Boy, Joy, that's the second person in a row that has said Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays, but you'd expect that.
I think
they're
watching
conservative.
They're watching the cameras. They see your beautiful white beard, and it's putting them in the mood.
You think that's what it is?
That's it.
I prefer
your
gray.
Red sweatshirt.
I kind of prefer gray beard, if you don't mind.
White, the whitest white beard I've ever seen. Is that just for men?
No.
Okay, it's natural.
It is natural.
I like it.
It is natural. I was going to diet one time, and it lasted about 2.5 days, and I was like, yeah, it's not. It did not.
Diets, yeah, they don't work for you. I heard about that.
It does not last. When we come back, we've got one final segment. We'll take your calls, 314-912-1019. We may talk about movies. We may talk about music. We may talk about anything. You are listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A near normal chilly night tonight, low down to right around freezing, right around 32 degrees. Cloudy skies overnight tonight. A slow clearing. It may be very gradual, but I do expect to see some clearing at some point in the afternoon Wednesday. A dry day, though, too, and a high of 48 degrees. That's our coldest day of the week, and it's actually going to be still above normal. Thursday, 31 in the morning, but 54 in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Will the Republicans move toward impeaching Joe Biden? On Wednesday's show, we're talking to a man who's managed an impeachment of a president before.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Love talking about my favorite bank, Royal Banks of Missouri. Been banking with them probably most of my adult life. They've been around since 1964. That is 2 years before I was born. So that means they're not going anywhere. St. Royal Banks, Missouri has one of the highest ratings for stability and strength in the industry. They have several locations, 17 actually, in the St. Louis metro area, 2 locations across the river in Jerseyville and in Granite City, Illinois, up in northeast Missouri, in Hannibal, Missouri, and across the Missouri River in St. Charles. 200 free ATMs across the Midwest so you can access your money when you want it. Whether you need wealth management, personal business checking accounts, home mortgages, Royal Banks of Missouri has you covered. Royal Banks also has one of, as I said, the highest ratings for stability and strength. Reach out to my friends at royalbanksmo.com, royalbanksmo.com. Royal Banks, Missouri, the community bank that is in your community.
Hi, Sean Long with STL Fenceworks. Our company realized another extraordinary year of great business. I thank God for engineering our success and for this great nation and all the blessings it offers those who persevere and work hard. Second, I want to personally thank the great customers who put their faith in our company to make their home and backyard dreams a vision fulfilled. STL Fenceworks doesn't exist without you, and I'm humbled and grateful for your patronage. I also want to thank all my great employees. You're the backbone of STL Fenceworks. You make my vision a reality. I'm truly honored to work amongst such fine people. Finally, as the year ends, I want to remind everyone to take time to enjoy the season. Embrace your family and friends, count the blessings in your life. Reflect on the important things, and don't forget the true meaning of Christmas. When a baby was born, Jesus, our Savior. On behalf of everyone at STL Fenceworks, have a very Merry Christmas and a blessed and prosperous New Year.
Hi, it's Mark McCloskey, and I'm proud to represent my friend Mike Lindell and My Pillow here for the Christmas season. You know, my buddy Mike Lindell is always looking for ways to solve everyday problems. His My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores, and they feel lotiony and soft. When you get them home, they won't dry you. That's why he made My Towels. They actually work. They're soft and they absorb. And now My Pillow is excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Sherpa cotton. This is a comb ring spun cotton that makes My Towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sales price as low as $29.98. So go to mypillow.com, use promo code ONFIRE, or call 800-645-1392. You get Mike's designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% on all My Towels. They actually work. What a concept. Just go to mypillow.com and use promo code ONFIRE. This offer won't last, so please order now.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
But it's irresponsible to simply borrow more money. To borrow the money from China, simply to send it to Ukraine, makes no sense and makes us weaker, not stronger. But let's be honest. Most of Congress doesn't seem to care about the debt, doesn't seem to care how much money we shovel out the door and out of the country. Why? Because it's not their money. Every day, Milton Friedman's statement is proven correct, that nobody spends somebody else's money as wisely as their own. I doubt the big spenders in Congress will ever consider spending any of their own money, but Americans across the land should sit up and notice and attach blame to these profligate spenders.
545 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Senator Paul Rand Paul from Kentucky is right on that fact. I don't agree necessarily with his isolationist stance on some foreign policy issues, but when it comes to giving money, borrowing money from China and giving it to Ukraine when we're $34 trillion in debt makes absolutely no sense. I mentioned earlier in the show, our friends at America First Policy Institute came out with a fact sheet regarding the $13.6 billion that the president is requesting, in addition to the $106 billion he wants for Israel, for the border, and for Ukraine. Speaking of Ukraine and this $13.6 billion, the administration is asking $3.5 billion for, quote, displaced Ukrainians. This provision provides taxpayer-funded benefits to Ukrainians, resources unavailable to other populations around the world. This request is also another example of the lie the administration claimed that U4U apparently would have sponsors provide for their parolees. Another thing about this extended ability of U4U parolees, they can receive unlawful welfare benefits through the end of fiscal year 2024. United for Ukraine, that's what U4U stands for. The administration wants to give $481 million to the unlawful United for Ukraine U4U parole program, which provides cash, medical assistance, job training, English classes, and more. So Rand Paul is right about that. We have Senator Talent on every Monday, and if you remember, over the course of the ensuing months, he was very supportive of our efforts in Ukraine. But he will admit that his support has softened some, that this war has become a stalemate, and a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that there will have to be a settlement where Ukraine gives up a piece of its territory in order to have peace. I think that is the decision a lot of Americans are coming to, a lot of our elected officials are coming to as well. I think Americans are willing to give Ukraine maybe one or two last pieces of big money for their military efforts, but I don't think this is anything that Americans want to see sustained. We're worried about our own arsenal, our own stocks not being able to be replenished to fight a war if we need to fight a war. And we see how China and Russia and these countries in the Middle East becoming more and more militaristic. Americans, as they should, feel that we need to keep our own borders in check and keep our own people safe. Joey, what you got going on, man? What's on your mind?
Well, the Golden Globe nominations came out yesterday.
Golden Globes?
Yeah, they're going to air on CBS this year. There was like a big falling out because the Hollywood Foreign Press that kind of votes on the Globes. It turned out they were racist. It was like
what?
Nothing but white people, and, they changed it up, made it more woke, I guess. But the nominations are interesting because there's a surprise category.
Oh, what is one?
You're going to hate this.
Okay. Is it politically correct?
It is cinematic and box office achievement. They're going to give an award to the movie that made the most money. And some would say maybe that's the award.
That's what Best Picture is, isn't it?
Well, Best Picture, it's usually a little more artsy-fartsy. But this is how they're trying to scam people into watching the Golden Globes by having movies in there that maybe have no artistic merit, like Super Mario Brothers or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're going to hate this. So cinematic and box office achievement, it's Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy, John Wick, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man, Super Mario Brothers, and Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has been nominated.
The most important woman in the world. Influential, right?
They set up 20 cameras and hit record and then put that up as a concert. There's nothing interesting about this 3.5-hour concert that she put up, and it got nominated. Good for her.
Well, why not?
She doesn't have enough, is what I'm saying. Time Woman of the Year. She got around the entire studio system and put the movie out herself and went straight to the theaters, and she got to keep all the money herself.
But you know what, though? And I was thinking about this the other day. She is probably one of the hottest stars in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very few people that last decade after decade. There's Prince, Cher. Most of the people that have one name usually last, but most people, they don't. And you just think, in 10 years from now, we could be like Britney, or what's her name? Taylor. I can't even think of her name. Taylor who?
I mean,
she could. Yep. She in 10 years, she could have been just a flash in the pan, like Britney Spears and all of them were, and she's nothing. So, I admire her. Milk it for all you can while it's there.
She is a money-making machine, and she's all about those variants, too. She had all her albums,
Yeah.
and then she re-recorded them and called them Taylor's version. She puts out vinyl records for little girls that don't even know how to work a
Yeah.
record player and puts them out in like 20 different colors, so they have to collect them. Time Magazine, they did like 5 variations of the same cover just so all the Swifties would have to buy them all. Probably the first Time Magazine they've ever bought in their entire life.
Do you think the cat around her neck was Photoshopped? Because a lot of people are saying, how did they do that without white fur being all over her black sweater? And how do you saw a lot of people on TikTok tried to recreate that, and it didn't work too well for a lot of people trying to put their cat around their neck.
We don't go anywhere, Chris and I, without our lint rollers. We are ready to go. People are going
I
to
do
know
when I
we own
travel
cats
out
when
of
we walk
town.
in.
That cat I got, man, she sheds big time.
I wonder if there was some sort of protocol with the cat, too, where if it scratched her porcelain skin, they were immediately euthanize it. You don't touch Taylor. You leave her alone.
Is it that serious? I thought maybe they put him in a cage for a little while, but I didn't.
I don't know. Her whole body's probably insured for $1 billion. Like that one, what is it, Entertainment Tonight lady who insured her legs, you know?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, people were asking, one, how did she put a white cat around her neck and not have white fur all over her black sweater? People, too, were asking, how did the cat stay still around her neck and look intent? And people were asking, too, about possible scratches and things of that nature. Because, I don't know, Beck, you think we could put Sadie around my neck and she'd...
Oh, we got to recreate the Taylor Swift Time Magazine covers with you.
I'll wear like a white wife beater.
Yeah, of course.
And put the cat around my neck.
That's an A-frame shirt for all of you people on the left that listen. We don't call it a wife beater, really.
That's what I thought that was the official name for it, wife beater.
Back in art school, we had to make a fake menu for a restaurant, and I called mine wife beaters. And it was all just white trash type of food, like Bud Light on the menu and stuff. Bologna sandwiches.
Well, I was going to say, you just insulted a bunch of Bud Light drinkers, but people don't.
Bud Light's back, baby. Did you hear? Kid Rock and Dana White from the UFC.
No, here's even worse. Oh, what? They did Bud Light commercials?
Bud Light is greasing the palms of the 2 biggest influencers in the white trash community, and that is Dana White of the UFC and Kid Rock. So they're actually...
Kid Rock was shooting...
Exactly. But for enough money, he can change his stance.
Did you see the commercial this weekend with Emmitt Smith and Peyton Manning? They are at a bar, and Peyton comes in and says, hey, I would like to have a Bud Light. And everyone's looking at him like, seriously, dude?
Oh, they're playing off
and then
of
he
the
said, And then he says, oh, I want to buy a Bud Light for the entire bar.
Ooh.
And then everybody's like, oh, crazy. And then Emmitt Smith's in there as well. And then they both grab a beer and they throw it, and then that's when the camera cuts. I was like, this is not going to make me want to buy Bud Light beer, and it's not going to make me dislike Peyton Manning and Emmitt Smith. But I was a little disappointed, but I was kind of like, I'm sure they got paid some ridiculous amount of money, and they were like, yeah, I'll do it.
And speaking of football, everyone was hanging on your every action on Twitter and Facebook. Did you buy the football helmet when you were out in Arizona?
I got it on Monday.
Whose football helmet was it?
Emmitt Smith. Signed helmet. I got it. I got it Saturday.
Wow.
Saturday. I was supposed to get it Friday, and it was I almost cursed on this here radio. Was
it scratched? No,
it wasn't scratched. But I was really expecting it on Friday, and they didn't. Becky said they pulled up to the house, and I don't think they had it on the truck and realized and took off and brought it on Saturday.
And you've got connections still in the shipping industry. You were like in charge of a bunch of people.
Not
you were
anymore.
Going to bring the hammer down.
Not anymore. That was 20 years ago when I was UPS.
All right,
that was another lifetime. Almost.
I can't wait for us to bring the Emmitt Smith helmet into the studio, and then we're going to drink a Bud Light out of it.
We're not drinking a Bud Light.
We're going to take the photo shoot with the cat around your neck. This is real life.
I would do it everything but the Bud Light. I can't do the Bud Light.
Okay. Did it come with a case and everything? So it's
no
one can even breathe on it.
We've got to buy a case.
You got chores to do now that you got this helmet.
That's what Becky does. I got a miniature football signed by Torrey Smith. We got a case for that.
I like that.
But something's wrong with the plastic though. It got all scratched up. I didn't even do anything to it, but it just started kind of disintegrating.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if there's something you can do to make it more valuable too. Like it's authenticated, right? Does it come with a certificate?
It's got a hologram on the back, and Joey's like,
no,
you got ripped
hologram
off,
is
dude.
good. I love it.
You got ripped off.
No.
You had that look like you got ripped off, dude. No, it's got a hologram on the back, and you take a picture of it, and it takes it. What do you call those things? Yep. What is it? 3D barcode.
Oh, okay. I love that. You are not going to be bringing that into the station anytime soon to show it off.
I bring it in. No, it's not insured. I insured it to mail it here.
I'm going to picture a seatbelt around that thing while you're driving into the station.
It's going to be in bubble wrap, probably.
Heck yeah.
Something.
Getting me cussing on this radio.
I am kind of worried, though. It's like I don't want to touch the signature because I'm worried about rubbing it off or something.
You should look on the back of everything. See if Emmett Smith's phone number is on there. And you just call him up. Like, did you actually sign this? He's like, yeah, this is your one call that you get.
The certificate, though, it tells exactly where he signed it. He signed it at an agent's office in Tennessee. And it has the exact time that he signed it, the whole nine.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was great.
We're going to lift the prints and create a crime with Emmett Smith's fingerprints. It wasn't me.
Joey, where your mind goes sometimes, I don't know. But,
well, thank you.
Great show today, Joey. Becky, thank you for surprising me today. Larry Connors, USA, is up next, and let's see what Larry's talking about. Larry is going to talk about Hamas commanders battling with each other. He's going to have a replay of Vic Porcelli and Ken Williams' interview with the J6 inmate. And Biden is votes among women, Hispanics, and blacks. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Drive safely.
There you go.
Imagine a world where hands reach out to help one another and to help our first responders. Did you know that a recent study by Western Connecticut State University reveals that with each hour spent volunteering, your own happiness goes up by 16%? If you've ever wanted to be the spark, the change maker, the time is now. Volunteer a few hours with the David Dorn Foundation and ignite a new day for police officers and first responders. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer. We're waiting to hear from you.
Hey, Columbo here with a great holiday offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Columbo special when you book a cleaning in the month of December, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res because they are simply the best when it comes to cleaning any surface in your home. And just remember to mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack, a stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering